Welcome back, guys. 6th grade math. Again, this is Mr. Cepeda coming to you live virtually. Again, from my son's room, we're going to talk about today is computing with integers. Again, this is a review of what you've done before. So this is positive and negative integers. How would you multiply, add, subtract, divide with integers, all right? So let's look at the first couple of rules, all right? So let's look at rule number 1. When we are adding integers, if we want to add them, we're going to look at the first number, and then look at the second number, and we're going to determine, are they the same or are they different? Remember, hopefully you guys can remember this, okay? If they are the same, we're going to put a line down the middle. If they are the same, we're going to add the numbers and keep the sign. Okay? If they are different, we are going to subtract the numbers. And then we're going to keep the sign of the bigger number. All right, we're going to look at the numbers, and then we're going to decide if they are the same, we're going to add, we're going to keep the sign. But if they are different signs, we're going to subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the bigger number. Example, if I have a 3 plus a 4, this is a positive 3, this is a positive 4. So, are they the same? Look at the signs. Are they the same sign? Yes. If they are the same, we're going to add these two and we're going to keep the same sign. So 3 plus 4 is 7, and we're going to keep the sign as a positive number. Okay? Now let's look at the same thing going different with a negative sign. Are they the same sign? Negative 3 plus negative 4. Yes, they are the same sign, so that means we're going to add the numbers. 3 plus 4 is 7, and we're going to keep that same sign. Well, the same sign was a negative number, so my answer is a negative 7. Okay, if you can see, it's the same rule. Now, if they are different, let's see if this was a negative 3 plus a 4. Let's look at the rules. Are they different? Yes, because that is a negative and that's a positive. So we're going to subtract. So 3 minus 4 or 4 minus 3 is 1. And then we're going to keep the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number was the 4, so the sign of the number 4 is a positive, so my answer is positive 1. Let's look at this backwards. 3 plus negative 4. Well, again, they are different because that's a positive, that's a negative. So we're going to subtract. 4 minus 3 is 1. And we're going to keep the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number was a 4, so it's a negative. So my answer is negative 1. Okay? So looking at those, that is addition, and let's just add subtraction. Okay? Why? Because it would be subtraction if the signs are different. Now, there's a different step if you're going to subtract numbers. Now, when we want to subtract numbers, we want to follow the same rules, but one slight difference. And that difference is that we are going to change the minus to a plus sign to make it easier. So, 2, if we are subtracting numbers, okay, what are we going to do? We're going to change the subtraction. Let's make this a little note. Change subtraction to addition. Okay, so what do I mean? If I had 4 minus 6 is equal to, okay, I'm going to change the addition to subtraction, the subtraction to addition, and I'm going to change the sign of the second number. So that means change the subtraction to addition and change sign of second number. So this was original 4 minus 6. So what did I do? I changed my subtraction to an addition and I changed the sign of the second number. That was a positive and this was a positive. So I changed my signs, I changed my sign. So now I can follow the rules of the addition. Are my signs the same? No, they are different. So I have to subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. And I keep the sign of the bigger number, which was a negative. So my answer would be negative 2. Okay? So that is the subtraction piece. Now, if you had I'm going to erase this. If you had a subtraction of a negative number, 4 minus negative 6. Well, again, I go back to my rule or my information, change my negative to a plus or a minus to a plus, and change my sign of my second number to the opposite. So now I have 4 plus 6. There are 4 positive numbers, so if they're the same, I add them and I keep the sign. So my answer would be positive 10. Okay? Now there's a trick so you don't have to do so you can do this, but you can look at it easier. 4 minus 6, change these two signs to one big plus sign. Now you have 4 plus 6 is equal to 10. Okay? But I would suggest you do this so you can remember what your instruction is going to be. All right? Any questions? No? Well, I can't ask any questions on the phone, but if you have any questions, please feel free to contact your teacher, send me a message. Parents, again, this is a quick tutorial. They should have all this in their notes. Tell them to go back into their notes, look at the addition and subtraction of integers, and they would see it. Now we're going to do another one that's going to call the tic-tac-toe method, okay? Why do we call it tic-tac-toe? Because this works for multiplication and division. We're going to draw a tic-tac-toe, and we're going to do the top corner, a positive, a positive, a positive, and the rest will become negatives. Okay? So what does that mean? If I am going to multiply, I am multiplying my numbers from left to right. If I am multiplying, I'm going from left to my right. So from here to here. If I multiplied a positive times a negative, my answer will be a negative. If I multiply a negative times a positive, my answer will be a negative. And if I multiply a negative times a negative, my answer will be a positive. Same thing, if I multiply positive times positive, will be positive. All right, that's going from left to right. Now, what happens if I divide as a fraction? It's always the numerator on top and the denominator at the bottom. If I am dividing from top to bottom, okay? So that means if I divide positive divided by a negative, my answer is a negative. If I divide a negative by a positive, my answer is a negative. And I divide a negative divided by a negative, my answer is positive. All right? So it's the same thing. Positive divided by positive, my answer is positive. This is a quick trick to know how to multiply and divide your integers, okay? So let's look at some examples. I'm going to leave this here so you can see it. If I had the number negative 5 times negative 5, I'm going to look at my chart and I'm going to multiply, so that means I'm going from left to right. Negative times a negative, my answer is going to be positive, so my answer is positive 25. Okay? if I had a negative 3 times a positive 4, negative times a positive, my answer should be negative. So what is 3 times 4? My answer is 12, but because there's a negative, it's negative 12. And again, if I had a positive times a negative, positive times a negative, my answer becomes a negative, so my answer is negative 18. Okay? So again, very simple, very easy to use. Dividing works the same way. If I had 12 divided by negative 2, so it's 12, positive 12 divided by negative 2, my answer should be negative 6. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Because there's a negative, my answer becomes a negative. Let's see, 15, negative 15 divided by 3, my answer would be negative 5. Negative divided by a positive, my answer is negative. And again, if I had, let's do this as a fraction, negative 4 divided by negative 2, my answer is negative divided by a negative is a positive, so 4 divided by 2, my answer is positive 2. All right? Hopefully this would have helped you. It's a quick review. Again, remember you have all these notes in your journal. Make sure that you that you look at it when you're doing your work. You have 25 questions to do. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to give us send us a message through Class Dojo. We will respond as soon as we can. Thank you so much. Again, I'm sorry if I can't completely make out everything on a quick minute video. But again, your kids had this information already. It's in their journals. This is just a quick review. And hopefully this works. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good one.